Hello, everybody, welcome back. I'm the Strategy Professor, and today I want to do a Prof Talks about an interesting topic, following up to a comment that I got earlier. And usually I don't do these types of things. I just tend to just kind of shake off relatively negative comments. But this one I think is pretty relevant just because I think there might be a misunderstanding between parenting, content creation, and working from home. And I think that some people are involved in some degree of those, at least the latter two. So I figured I'd just go ahead and bring this up just to kind of put a spotlight on some of the challenges that stay at home parents or people who work from home, um, might struggle with, and just specifically how I deal with it, how other people might be able to deal with it as well. And just so you get a little bit of clarity about kind of what's going on behind the scenes here, if you ever wonder, if you ever hear my daughter in videos, which you probably do a lot, um, just to clear this up. So again, I think a lot of people understand these things probably, but I just wanted to clarify for some people that don't, and obviously there's at least one person who doesn't. So I figured I would just go ahead and bring this out real quick. So anyways, if you enjoy the content, please be sure to like and subscribe. It's usually very different from this. I cover Total War, Warhammer 3, League of Legends, and occasionally some single player games, but be sure to check all that out. But yeah, let's go ahead and get in here. So someone left me a comment on one of my Nurgle campaign videos earlier, and I think it was a subscriber who had been here for quite a long time, so it's a little surprising because you do see Rory show up in a lot of videos, my daughter. Especially if you watch the stream, I'll have her on, and sometimes she'll put on the headphones and talk to people on stream and things like that. But anyways, maybe he doesn't watch as much videos as I thought, or maybe he has a different interpretation. But this is basically what he said. There may have been a couple of words that were different, but this is basically the gist of it. It's really cringe to see a grown-ass man ignore his daughter and play video games. They grow up so fast. I don't know your situation. I'm not judging, but I am unsubbing. Okay, so I wanted to break this down and just try to explain some stuff. I mean, obviously, I was a little triggered when I first read it, right? Because it's just so self-righteous, right? It's like, I'm not judging. It's like, well, clearly you are, right? Like, you wrote something out here that you know is extremely inflammatory. If you ever say anything like that to a parent, it's going to be extremely inflammatory. So you're lying. Like, you're being a little disingenuous. Let's just be honest. You are judging. You think it's bad, and so you're leaving. So let's start with that. But I think it is definitely true he doesn't know my situation. But anyways, as the tone of it aside, let's talk about the substance here. So let's give some actual numbers with Rory. So Rory is not being neglected. I will guarantee you I spend more time with Rory than the average parent spends with their kid. And I'm not saying that's necessarily a bad thing or a bad thing for other parents, rather, but because I know, different people, sometimes people are just working 2 or 3 jobs. I work 2 jobs. We'll talk about that in a second. And you can't always spend that much time. But I spend usually 6 hours a day with Rory, right? So from about 6 p.m. until about 12 a.m., I'm hanging out with Rory. I sleep with Rory a lot of times in the guest bedroom so that I don't wake up my wife in the middle of the night, and I'm looking after our other infant daughter. So I give her the bottles in the middle of the night so my wife can get a good night's sleep. So yeah, I'm getting up with Rory, I'm sleeping with Rory, I'm hanging out with Rory while I'm making videos, while I'm working, while I'm not working. Almost all the time, Rory is in my orbit. So in terms of raw numbers, she's there. And I do go do stuff with her. We go out to a public park 3 or 4 times a week. I usually go outside and play with her at least once, if not multiple times every day. I run around and play pretend with her and things like that. You gotta remember, guys, I'm only making like 2 or 3 videos a day, and I'm streaming like late at night. So the rest of that time, I'm interacting with her, full on, like playing stuff with her, talking with her, messing around with her, stuff like that. And if you think about kind of a standard family, right? What people would draw up, it's probably kid gets home from school, you get home from work around 5:30 or 6, you prepare dinner, you eat dinner, and then the kids probably go into bed at like 8:30 or 9. Or something like that. And sometimes it's less than that. We have a relative that their kids go to bed at 7. So that's like 3 hours or something tops in the evening. So anyways, in terms of actual numbers, trust me, Rory's taken care of. We hang out with Rory. We are not ignoring Rory. But the deeper issue, and again, I know other parents, it's not just about the quantity of time, it's the quality of time. So even people who are really busy and you can only spend those 3 hours, I think that's fine in a lot of circumstances. But let's talk more broadly at kind of what this is getting to from just numbers that I think is kind of a more foundational misunderstanding about parenting at home and just this concept of life balance. And I think this can apply to a lot of people. So, like a lot of people in the United States, I don't make enough money off of just my primary job, so I work a second job. So, I teach English at a university as a part time lecturer, but I do not make a lot of money doing that. I would actually make more money, literally, if I worked at McDonald's. I just do the teaching because I just enjoy teaching. I really like it. I feel like I'm contributing a lot, to society by doing it. And that's just what I like to do. I think it's productive. It makes me feel good. I enjoy it, so I'm going to do it. But to supplement that, I have this channel. So I don't make a lot of money off this channel, but I do make some money off this channel. And it is a significant chunk of my overall income because my baseline is so low off of teaching English. So this channel is a job, okay? It's a job. So I do enjoy it most of the time, but it's also a job. I literally get paid to do it, okay? So that's when someone says playing video games, it's working. Like, for some people, it's playing, but when you're a content creator, there is work that goes into it. Like, I do have to do research. I do stream every night. There are some nights where I don't feel like streaming, and I do it anyways because, I'm a content creator and it's my job. Just like any job, sometimes it's more fun than others, right? But it's a job, and I need the supplemental income. So it is work. Even if it wasn't work, I think it would still be okay to play video games while your kids are awake, right? We'll talk about that here in a second in terms of life balance. But for me specifically, it is a job, okay? And you do hear Rory in a lot of videos, okay? Because I don't shut the door. I don't have a private studio, in my office that I record videos in. I don't ever shut it because she wants to hang out with me. So I let her come in and hang out. So you hear her a lot. She's present a lot more than other content creators. You'll hear her saying stuff in the background. You will, occasionally she'll show up and you'll see her in videos. It's because I don't shut the door. But I'll guarantee you a lot of other content creators also have kids. But you know what? You don't hear them. You know why? Because they shut the door and they don't let the kid come in. Right? Or they tell their wife to deal with the kid or something else. They're not paying attention to their kids either because they're working. Right? Like if you work at a 9-to-5 job, which I've got a point down there, are you expected to hang out with your kid while you're at that job? Do people expect you to bring your kid in and sit with you in the office and, you're looking away from your spreadsheet talking to your kid, oh yeah, hey, singing songs with them, having a good time for 8 hours while you're typing up your spreadsheets, while you're on a conference call with the boss, while you're trying to close that sale, while you're trying to win this law case. You bring them into the courtroom, you bring them into the operating room when you're a doctor and have them, hold a scalpel for you or something. No, right? Because you're at work. So that's the thing is Rory is a lot more present, and so it might seem like I'm ignoring her if she keeps saying stuff like, Dad, look at this, Dad, look at that, Dad, that type of stuff. And I do acknowledge her sometimes, but if I'm like right in the middle of something, then sometimes I don't always acknowledge her right away. But she's still there, she's still in the room, I'm still looking over, talking to her as much as I can, right? Because I want her to be in here, I want her to, be around me having fun, even when I'm working. But I think that's not the standard. I think most people kick their kids out of the room when they're working, when they're doing stay-at-home work, right? Whether it's content creation, whether it's, anything else. A lot of people are working from home these days, or at least they have in the last 2 years, right? But yeah, that's my interpretation. I guess other people could interpret it how they want, but you hear her say stuff and me not respond sometimes when, if you think about it, other people, they're basically ignoring all of it 100% because their kid's not in the room. They're not even allowed to be in the room. So that's where it might be a little different, is you don't hear the ignoring there. It's just not present. You don't hear the kid, in the other room asking for stuff or doing whatever they're doing. Okay. So yeah, I just think that it's a little bit of a double standard, and again, I think that most people who have worked from home that have kids understand this, that it's a tricky life balance to try to create those boundaries between work and home, because it's very confusing for kids sometimes. They don't understand that you're working, or like what money is, or what bills are, and things like that. So anyways, I've tried not to do that to Rory. I've tried not to create that boundary and just do the best I can while she's in here. I do tell her sometimes, Daddy's working, give me a second. Um, but again, I think I let her in here and interact with her a lot more than most people who are working. Um, and then the final thing that I just wanted to mention here, in general, is just kind of life balance. And I think that most parents want to be doing more for their kids. They want the best possible outcomes for their kids, right? Like you always feel like you should be doing more, like you could be doing more. I could be spending more time with them. I could have been teaching this stuff better. I could have been doing this better, doing that better. Um, but there are just limits. We're all just people, right? And even if you do have time, even if you do have the luxury of having more than whatever 2 or 3 hours to spend with your kids, there are some reasonable limits, and it's important for parents to try to cultivate good mental health and not be too stressed out sometimes too. And sometimes that means unwinding, relaxing without the kids, right? Whether it's going out on a date night, with your wife, your girlfriend, your significant other, or whatever, whether it's a date night, whether it's going out and drinking with the guys once a week, whether it's going golfing or bowling, playing a video game, right? Even if it's not a job, I think it's okay to just set aside a little time and say, hey, I'm going to spend 1 or 2 hours playing this video game, and then I'm going to, play with the kids after that. Whatever it is, I think it's important to be able to unwind and de-stress sometimes. Now, obviously, there are limits to that, right? But I think that there's also the other way, where you shouldn't feel pressured to spend 100% of all of your time entertaining your kids, because for a lot of people that's going to be too stressful, and the kids are going to feel that stress, and it's not going to be good for either person, right? And I think that's good in any kind of relationship, whether it's kids or not, just to be able to have your own space, like have your own stuff that you have going on. Like you want to have stuff that you do with whoever the other person, whether it's a friend, a significant other, or a kid, or whatever. You want to find activities you can do together, but I think it's important to have your own space too, and everyone's a little different about that. But I think that parents shouldn't just automatically feel guilty because they can't spend 1,000,000 hours with their kid because they're working 2 jobs, or because they work in an extremely stressful job and they need to come home and unwind for 30 minutes, or they're just a very anxious, stressful person, or maybe they get depressed, or just whatever's going on. Life's tough out there sometimes. So just making sure that your mental's good, making sure that you're in a good space, so that you can give, so that when you have the time, when you're ready, you can give that attention to your kids. You can make sure that it's good quality time, right? So a lot of this, I don't think, some of this applies to me, personally, but I'm just saying this is more of a general life balance kind of thing for a lot of people, because I love my job. I love teaching. I love doing the content creation. I'm fortunate enough to be doing 2 different jobs that I like. It does take up a lot of time, but I think in general, I'm usually in pretty good spirits. I would say that I have really strong mental health just because of the jobs I've sort of set myself up for and the relationships I've cultivated. I have an awesome wife, awesome friends, awesome daughters, all that kind of stuff. But I'm just saying, like, try not to be too hard on other people either, other parents that, may not always spend 1,000,000 hours with their kids, right? Where obviously there's an extreme, to that too. You don't want to be full on neglecting your kids, but parents that just need to take a little time for themselves, right? Just to kind of relax and recharge and get back together with the kids. So there's always a balance there, but I think sometimes people are just really quick to judge other parents without really trying to understand, what's going on. Like obviously with this quote, he's saying, I don't understand your situation. I'm not judging. He's just saying that because I don't know, because clearly he is. And it is hard to do that. It is hard not to judge, but just trying your best to try to think about other people, and it's kind of why they're doing what they're doing with parenting, because it's hard out there. People think it's easy with kids. It is not always easy to be a good role model, for a lot of people, and to put on your happy face, when you just had a garbage day at work, or when you're getting divorced, or your boyfriend broke up with you, or your girlfriend, or whatever, or you're about to get foreclosed on in your house, or you just lost your job, or whatever, man. There's a lot of tough stuff that goes on in a lot of people's lives, and I think it's really important, like I said, to try to do the best you can to be in a good mental state personally, and then that way you can help model that for your kids, and you can give good high quality time for that. So anyways, don't put too much pressure on yourself. If you're a parent, you're doing fine. um, but also try not to put too much pressure on other parents either. So anyways, that was just my PSA. I just wanted to bring that out there and just talk about it for a little bit, not too much time. And again, I really hope this is a minority view, that a lot of people don't think this. But I really just more broadly wanted to talk about, again, just kind of bringing awareness to people that either may not have kids or may not have worked from home with kids before, and tried to understand how difficult it is to find that life balance, and sort of what all goes into that. But anyways, that's going to be it. Thank y'all very much. As always, I appreciate it. Just wanted to add a little clarity, just let y'all know Rory is fine. She's not being super neglected everywhere. At least I think she's fine. I think that she's good. So don't worry about Rory. When you hear her in the background asking me questions, if I don't answer them right away, then it's just because I've probably been around her for 6 hours and she's been asking me the same stuff, or whatever, just been throwing questions at me for 6 hours straight, and I'm trying to focus in a situation, regardless of whatever it is. So anyways, I hope that brings a little bit of clarity for anyone that's ever wondered kind of what goes on behind the scenes, and or maybe wanted to hear a little insight or advice about working from home and parenting and life balance and all that kind of stuff. But anyways, that's going to be it. Be sure to check out the rest of the content on the channel. Like I said, this is a weird type of video for my channel. Usually I don't do this kind of self-help or responding to, negative comments and things like that. But this one, again, I thought might resonate. People might be curious about it in terms of my channel, why she's on the channel so much compared to other content creators where you never see their kids. But then also, other people might be in those situations, like I said, working from home, trying to balance that, or just life balance, feeling like they're not doing enough for their kids and things like that. So I just wanted to kind of give you my thoughts on that. So anyways, thank you very much. Be sure to like and subscribe if you enjoy the content, and I'll see you next time. Have a good day.